What if you threw a freshly eaten Fuji apple core back 66 million years, right into the end of the Cretaceous period? Dinosaurs everywhere, and an asteroid is about to arrive. Can this tiny seed survive? Well, you haven't even reacted yet. Boom! An armored dinosaur stomps down and buries you half a meter into the mud. Welcome to prehistoric survival mode. Giant creatures everywhere, and you're just an apple seed. Your first mission isn't conquering the world. It's simply, don't get crushed. That's literally survival lesson number 1, week 1. Buried deep in the darkness. You stop trying to grow immediately. Instead, you lock away every last drop of water inside that seed. That smooth, dark brown seed coating. It's basically your natural armor. Keeping out fungi, insect eggs, and bacteria hiding in the soil. Then boom, a massive rainstorm hits. The mud gets washed away, and you're exposed on the riverbank again. A hungry young dinosaur has already eaten every soft shoot nearby. Then it notices you. It gets closer, takes a look, and walks away. You're too hard, not worth the bite. Day 10, thunderstorms arrive with the rainy season. Water finally reaches deep inside the seed, and the sleeping embryo wakes up. A tiny white root bursts through the shell, straight down into the deep mud. You've learned the rules of this crazy place. Whoever shows their head first doesn't last long. So you don't rush toward the sunlight. You grow down first, building your own underground fortress. 1 whole month, you wait, you endure, and finally, you break through. 2 round, bright green leaves unfold. In a prehistoric jungle packed with strange, twisted plants, your smooth little leaves really stand out. And suddenly, something notices you. You're being watched. A hungry dinosaur rushes closer. It opens its mouth, going straight for your tender leaves. But then, you instantly redirect your stored nutrients and concentrate a bitter defense inside your leaves. Because apparently, even 66 million years ago, plants knew how to say, nope, one bite, and boom, the bitterness hits like a truck. The dinosaur starts shaking its head like, nope, 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 and backs away. From that day on, it never comes near you again. By year 1, this weird little plant has already reached 1 foot tall. Your skinny stem looks absolutely tiny next to the giant horsetail plant. Storm after storm keeps snapping your young branches. But you don't care. The branches can break because underground, your roots are already pushing through the loose soil, locking you firmly in place. Where nobody can see, you're quietly building your foundation. Year 3, and you're growing against the odds. You shoot up to 2 meters. The trunk gets stronger and tougher. That fragile little plant look, gone. You're officially becoming a real little tree. Day 1095 since you landed here, you bloom for the very first time. No giant, flashy petals, just tiny flowers, white with the softest hint of pink. And they release a gentle, fresh, honey-like scent. The other ancient plants rely mostly on wind for pollination. Pollen flying everywhere, messy, and not exactly efficient. But you arrive with one of the flowering plant world's biggest tricks. You offer nectar and recruit insects as your personal pollination squad. Then an ancient bee ancestor follows the scent. Straight to you. In the Cretaceous world, it has never seen a flower this generous. Free food and free pollen all over its body. So off it flies. Until it realizes something terrible. For miles around, you're the only flowering plant. All that pollen, wasted. And for the first time, you feel completely alone. On a continent ruled by giant creatures. Your biggest enemy isn't the dinosaurs. It's having no one else. That ancient bee never comes back. And you know exactly what that means. Across this entire continent, there isn't a second tree that can understand your little floral language. So when everything seems hopeless, you activate your backup survival plan. Your flowers contain both male and female parts, but they mature at different times. Then the wind arrives and shakes your pollen loose onto your own stigma. Self-pollination, not ideal. The fruit may be smaller and sour, but at least you can leave behind the next generation. You produce a few wild fruits, about the size of quail eggs, sour, bitter, definitely not a 5-star snack. But inside, that plump little seed is your entire future. Year 5, your trunk reaches 5 meters. The bark gets rough and starts to crack, and your canopy finally pushes through the gaps in this ancient forest and captures an entire patch of sunlight. And this year's flowering season, you finally welcome your first visit. And that tiny, pathetic bullet of a plant you grew through self-pollination, yeah, that little guy, 10 meters away, it finally started flowering too. And then the bee ancestor showed up. Finally, a proper little commute between the 2 trees. Cross-pollinated fruit was way stronger than anything produced by self-pollination. And in year 8, you finally got your first real apple. A fist-sized fruit, green and red like it was showing off. And its skin was covered in that pink, powdery fruit. This wasn't some bitter little wild fruit anymore. Oh no, this thing was packed with natural sugars and vitamins. Basically, a tiny edible energy bomb. Its crisp, sweet aroma mixed with that bitter forest and pine smell hit the jungle like somebody had just set off an apple-shaped alarm. And then a 2-ton hadrosaur was minding his own business, chewing on tree branches, when his nose suddenly went sniff, sniff. What is that? He followed the mystery smell, pushed through the bushes, and walked right up to your feet. Then he stretched up and took one massive bite of that red apple. He froze. 1 second of silence. Then he swallowed the whole thing. Even the seeds barely got a chance to say goodbye. You think he just stole your apple? Nope. This was the delivery service you had been waiting 8 years for. Because a few hours later, the apple seed came right back out, 5 kilometers away, along a completely new riverbank. The fruit became fertilizer, but But the seed? Perfectly intact. And it sprouted in its brand new territory. By year 10, there wasn't just one apple tree anymore. There were 2, then 3, and then year 20 happened. That lonely riverbank had become an entire apple forest. Every fruiting season, hadrosaurs, duck-billed dinosaurs, and even little birds came running in. The whole neighborhood suddenly knew where the buffet was. And they weren't settling for the easy apples either. They wanted the reddest one, the one way up at the top. So some of them learned to stand on their hind legs, or just headbutt the tree until the apples fell down. And that's when the giants stopped being just giant herbivores. They became your free, prehistoric gardening group. Your territory was equal, and somehow all it took was one ridiculously sweet apple tree. You had quietly transformed the entire ecosystem around you. You weren't just one lonely tree anymore. You had become an ecosystem. But prosperity always comes with a tiny little problem, and this problem was enormous. Your apple forest kept expanding, attracting dinosaurs that could basically eat and stomp all day. And unfortunately, they were not gentle customers. Trees got their bark chewed off, main trunks snapped. Entire patches of young trees got enlightened under giant dinosaur feet. So you had to balance between explosive growth and getting absolutely wrecked. You thought that was the worst thing that could happen? Oh, you sweet summer tree. You had no idea the real apocalypse was already arriving from the sky. That night, a light appeared on the horizon, brighter than the sun. An asteroid hit Earth. The sky lit up. Then came dust, enough to cover the sky. Earth entered a winter that lasted for years. Sunlight was basically gone. Plants started dying everywhere. And the giant plant-eating dinosaurs were hit first. They fell. Then the entire food chain began collapsing from the bottom up. And your apple forest? It looked finished. No leaves, no fruit. The dinosaurs were starving. They scratched at your dead bark, hoping to find something edible. Anything. They thought you were dead. But they missed one tiny detail. You had buried your best chance of survival underground. Your roots reached several meters deep, and they never truly died. And the starch stored inside your trunk? Still there. But more importantly, remember those seeds? The ones your giant dinosaur delivery service scattered everywhere? They were buried under fallen leaves and volcanic ash. They waded through the freezing cold, through the darkness. The age of dinosaurs ended. The giants disappeared. And finally, the dust began to settle. Sunlight broke through the clouds, and one tiny apple sprout pushed its way through the volcanic ash. On a landscape of ash, scorched earth, and the remains of a vanished world, that little green shoot looked almost impossible. And somehow, that made it even more beautiful.